Building a wooden shed base, or indeed a hollow floor. This is the similar sort of construction that you get in house hollow floors. Not a great deal of difference, except perhaps the size of the timbers. We have a 4" by 2" frame, or 100mm by 50mm timber frame around the perimeter, and that's measured to the exact size of the shed that's going to go on it. And in the middle, once that's squared up, we've secured that on, if the camera can get a close-up of one of these block piers, anyone's fine. You'll see that the ones around the perimeter are the exact level that we wanted, and the sleeper wall, as it's called, through the middle is a little bit under, allowing us to put timber bearers on the sleeper wall to support these 8-foot joists in the middle. I'm going to point down here, the camera might be able to see. It's my fault, I haven't prepared the camera person at all, so I've rebaited this screw hole out by about 3/4 inch to make sure that my 3" screw goes right the way through the bearer, the sleeper timber, into the packer piece and into the block, so everything's absolutely solid, it won't move at all. You'll also see that on the inside of each joist we fitted a 1x1 timber. These are actually 2x1 battens that we cut down on the table saw. They're nailed to the side of the joist, and the insulation, which you can see here, simply sits in between the joists and flush with the top of the joist. That then allows us, if the camera can swing round to my right, that then allows us to put our boards, in this case we're going to use loft boards that we had over from another job, onto the floor, so that the centres of these joists are worked out to the end of the flooring panels. They will be soaked in Cuprinol 5-star wood preserver, as we do with most of our timber, to make absolutely sure that we're going to be secure against any rot and wood boring insects. On the far right, on the top of that 4x2, you'll see that I've laid an inch batten. We're going to do that all the way around the perimeter as well. Now that's the width of the shed wall, and so the shed wall sits all the way around the perimeter once we've taken that batten off. But the reason that batten's there at the moment is so that we can fit the flooring inside of that batten, knowing that once the floor's down, the problem with a hollow floor like this, and the problem that also exists on the first floor of a normal construction of a house, is that once you've got the joists down and you carry on with the brickwork, you've got very little to stand on unless you board out the joists. So we're going to do this slightly differently. We're going to lay the floor of the shed before we put the walls up. So we've put a batten around the outside to represent the walls. We're then going to lay the floor inside those battens, and then we're going to put the walls and the roof on. Now that is a great way of doing things, providing you've got a floor that's absolutely square and accurately sized. So check your measurements twice always, and to get the square, measure across the diagonals, and they should be exactly the same, and then screw down as we've done into the blocks and fix each corner into the blocks and make sure it doesn't move anywhere. There's no play in the joist, there's no play in the structure, and then you can fix your shed walls. So the joists themselves, perhaps we can get a close-up of this. This is a 3" by 2" joist hanger. These are called Jiffy hangers because they're all bendy. They're made by Simpson Strong Tie, who we work with quite a lot, and they simply fit onto the side. In a lot of cases the top bends over to hug the top of the joist, but in these we've cut them off and fixed them with screws instead of nails into the side of the joist, so that's fully load bearing and there's nothing there to obstruct the fixing of our floor. So that's a hollow floor construction with 1 or 2 extras like the insulation, but of course in modern dwellings you're going to get this insulation as well. underneath this base we've got some weed fabric so the weeds aren't going to come up, and the reason that we've lifted this up a foot off the ground is so that we can slide some timbers and stuff and pipe work and everything underneath it, so it's quite a nice little storage area underneath the floor. So that's a hollow floor construction, in this case for a shed, but generally this is how a hollow floor is constructed for most properties.